Today we are taking a look at the CHOC 2.0 metal gaming controller from PB Tales. About a month ago, PB Tales approached me directly asking if I would like to do a review of their recently released controller. And from what I read, from what I saw, I thought it would be something I would really enjoy using myself, and that through this review, you might find something that you'd enjoy as well. So I agreed, and here we are. I particularly was intrigued by this new button that's in the middle here because, as you can probably tell right off the bat, there is certainly some inspiration from the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. However, that extra button in the middle is a feature that I had never used in a modern controller before, and again was quite excited to try out, so stay tuned. I'm going to introduce that to all of you in just a bit. Before we get to that though, we're going to be doing a quick unboxing to see just what you get with the CHOC 2.0 controller, and there will also be a link down in the description to PB Tales' website, where if you check it out you'll find there is also a CHOC original controller, and I'll be pointing out the differences between the 2.0 and that one as we go on. Also, if you explore there, you'll see that PB Tales is a tech startup formed in the year 2020, and through my communications with them, they were nothing but kind, nothing but helpful. Their customer service was top notch, and just overall it was clear that they knew what they were doing. This is a really neat controller, really well built, and I'm super excited to introduce it to you more. There's also currently a 15% off sale going on, with free shipping to the US and free shipping worldwide on orders over $60. So if you like what you see, you can check that out as well. But getting to that unboxing, you're going to see that the box it comes in is just very stylish, very snazzy looking. And opening it up, one of the first things you're going to be introduced to is the instruction manual, which comes in this really neat sleeve saying hello in all sorts of different languages. And the manual is very helpful in figuring out how to use the different features and connecting the controller up to your favorite devices. It works with the Nintendo Switch, with your PC, with things like the Steam Deck, so it's definitely a very versatile controller, very compact. Obviously the design itself very much inspired by the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, but it's a great controller that can be used in a whole bunch of different situations. Also in there is a USB-C cord, which is actually branded with PB Tales' name on it, which is rather neat. And of course there is the controller itself, held in place nicely with a plastic tray. Getting that out of there though, here we're finally going to be looking at the controller, and again, one of the things that intrigued me about it right off of the bat was how similar some of the features were to those Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, and I personally love gaming with these because I like the accuracy that having each of the directional buttons being just an individual button and not a D-pad gives to playing your games. One thing that I really like about the CHOC 2.0 controller is that those directional buttons are placed on the upper left portion of the controller, unlike you'll see on Nintendo controllers these days, the Joy-Cons, the Pro controllers, even on Xbox controllers where that stick kind of gets priority. It takes much more of a PlayStation controller style design, giving the priority to those directional buttons and then placing the sticks down below. In terms of the buttons, they feel a little bit softer to the touch on the PB Tales CHOC 2.0 controller, unlike on the Joy-Cons where they're a little bit more clicky to the touch. You have to push them down a little bit further on the CHOC 2.0, although it will just take a couple of minutes to get adjusted to that, and it is super satisfying to use once you do. In terms of the control sticks, they're pretty much identical to the ones on the Joy-Cons. They may even be the exact same ones, so no complaints whatsoever. I've used the controller for about 10 hours and just all around had a really fantastic experience during that time. If you connect this with your Switch, which is super easy to do, you don't even have to use the cable to connect it directly. Just hold the sync button on top and you can do it in a matter of seconds. It works great. All of the buttons are automatically aligned with what you would expect them to do on the Switch. You have a button that takes screenshots, a button that will access the home menu, and it's amazing how just right out of the box it is ready to use. Another thing you'll notice is that the L and R buttons are actually placed along the top of the controller side by side rather than front and back like you might see the L1 and L2 or R1 and R2 buttons on another controller. This ended up being really cool. I did not know what to expect going in, and again, another thing that will take just a minute to adjust to, but the buttons were super responsive and I had a great time using them after. You'll see that the L and R buttons in particular are very long going down the sides of the controller, but you can very easily just place your fingers along the tops of those buttons and push down there and everything works great. I didn't find much use for the extended piece of the button that comes down along the sides, but maybe you will. It all depends again on how large your hands are. And in particular, in regards to the size of the controller, I loved how small and compact it was. It actually reminded me very much of the NES controller, which anyone who knows me will know I have no qualms with using whatsoever. It might even be my favorite controller ever made just because it's simple and it does absolutely everything you want it to do. And in this case, the PB Tails CHOC 2.0 controller is almost identical in size, and it has those angles that you see on the NES controller, which was not in any way uncomfortable to hold. It felt great, it worked great. Again, excellent build quality. As someone who really enjoys using the Joy-Cons for the buttons that it has on it, one thing I really liked when I saw the PB Tails CHOC 2.0 is how it does not vertically align the buttons with the control sticks as you see on the Joy-Cons. One problem I've always had with using this, despite the fact that I like the way the buttons feel, is if I'm playing a game that predominantly uses the Y button and the B button, say a Mega Man 11 for shooting and jumping, or even Mario Odyssey for attacking and jumping, my thumb will always jam into the thumbstick below when trying to use Y and B together, where with the CHOC 2.0, because of the diagonal displacement that the buttons have from the control sticks, I had no problems with that whatsoever, and it was just really, really comfortable to use. The CHOC 2.0 also has motion controls built in. I've never been much for motion controls, and yet I'll admit I tried this out, aiming in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or particularly I used it with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I could not believe how well it worked, how much fun it actually was to try driving with motion controls. It was just incredible, actually. It worked so well, and again, it was like playing a whole different game almost, and the CHOC 2.0 just did a great job with that. So if you're someone who likes motion controls, you don't have to worry whatsoever. This controller's got you covered, and it also has rumble support as well. In fact, it has 3 different levels of rumble that can be switched on the fly, because now we're going to be getting to that button in the middle. Before we actually get to that though, I also want to mention just the metal outside that the controller has is really nice. Again, didn't know what to expect going in. It's not as, metal as you might expect. It's not like, picking up like a block of iron or something. It's not, really hard to the touch. It's not like solid steel. However, it just gives a nice solid feel to the controller, and picking it up, it felt nice and cool. It was like, oh, that's actually really neat. And it's something I had never experienced before, and again, one of those features that when I initially heard about the controller intrigued me and wanted me to try it. Not to mention the design on the outside of the controller as well. Again, if you check out PB Tails' website, you'll see that there are 5 different ones for the CHOC 2.0, 3 of which have that metal outside. The 2.0 controllers in particular having much fancier designs. However, if you look at the original CHOC controllers, they don't have that metal casing, and their designs are also a little bit simpler, with another difference being that they have more traditional cross-shaped D-pads, while of course the CHOC 2.0 has those switch-styled individual buttons that I was really, again, intrigued by, because I really enjoy using them with the Joy-Cons, and is another thing that made me really want to check this out. But again, getting back to that T button, another feature I was quite interested in comes from that. One thing that it does is if you hold the T button and you press plus or minus, it will increase the intensity of the vibration up to 3 levels, although you can also turn it all the way down to just turn it off completely, meaning that you don't have to go into the switch menu every time if there are occasions where, say, you want to use it or you don't. But again, going back to that T button, one of the coolest features of this controller, and one of the ones I was the most excited to try, is the built-in turbo option. If you hold down T and you press any other button, again, aside from the plus and minus, because holding down T and pressing those alters the intensity of the vibrations, but say you hold down T and press A, turbo will turn on for the A button and the A button only. You can then hold T and press A again to turn the turbo off. And again, the turbo can be set for each button individually, which is really neat. It's not like a switch where it's all got to be on, it's all got to be off. So it's very customizable to whatever situation you're in. You can set turbo for that. And I don't believe I own any modern day controllers which have turbo functionality. So I said, you know what, there's something I've always wanted to try. Let's see if the CHOC 2.0 can do it. So as you can see, if you're looking for turbo functionality, this gives it to you. So now, when you're playing Mario Party with your friends, they're not going to know with hit 'em. I love how stealth it is too. It's like, you know, there's not massive switches on it. This controller is just so compact. They packed so much into this controller with so many neat features. I was just so impressed by it. So if you're looking for a new controller, don't feel like going for the Joy-Cons or the Pro, you know, this is a very, very viable option as well, and just had pretty much no complaints with it through my playing time. Again, with those motion controls were really neat. I was even playing some Mario Odyssey, just being able to look around by moving the controller I thought was fun. And whether you're using the D-pad buttons or the control sticks, gaming just felt overall awesome using the CHOC 2.0. So I'm really happy that PB Tales approached me asking if I wanted to try this out. I wouldn't have done it had I not been impressed with what they showed me. And again, they were super professional, so that all contributed to me wanting to give it a look. So feel free, if you have any questions, to post them down in the comments below. Also, as mentioned, PB Tales, excellent customer service. I'm sure if you have anything you'd like to follow up with, they can also be of assistance. With that though, I think we're going to wrap things up. So I just thought it'd be really fun to do a product review. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you again to PB Tales for sending me this copy to review. It definitely lived up to what I was hoping it would be, with just the great build, great quality, all those features that they managed to somehow pack into there. And again, I played with it for about 10 hours at this point, and only one piece of the battery indicator has disappeared. So you're going to be looking at some decent battery time out of it as well. And it's great for a portable controller if you want to take it somewhere with you. They managed to get so much into this. I love it. And again, was super happy that I reviewed it, and hope you'll check it out as well. But with that, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks, and take care, everyone.